Hello, and welcome to another day of TA the Degen Way. Just wanted to hop on and take a look at the Bitcoin price and maybe pop in and take a look at Ethereum. So you see our latest trading view idea is Bitcoin, pullback, or sideways. Previously, we're highlighting the massive divergence forming on both money flow and the wave trend. And if we look at what we got right now, we are forming some form of an ascending triangle. Let's hop right into the chart. Here we're on the daily. As you can see, the daily, there's a couple things that don't look too hot. We see this VWAP is curling down. Money flow still isn't really curling down. We've got our wave trend coming down from a serious oversold or overbought position. But if we were to take a trend and just say let's go from here to this trigger wave, we would be expecting this to kind of catch right in about this area if maybe we were to get some daily divergence, bearish divergence that is. And we are forming some form of an ascending triangle, and if we take the height of the base of this triangle, I'm not big into retail trading patterns, but there's a reason that a lot of people do trade them. We're coming out awfully close to our original $39,000 target, just short of the macro 50% retrace. And I think the real question is the longer we trend sideways, the better chance this has of breaking to the upside. And really, I think it comes down to each time we revisit the bottom of this ascending triangle, are we going to see bullish signals in our momentum oscillators? Have they been reset? Has price been trading sideways long enough to start building bullish momentum again? And let's start to work our way down. We looked at the daily. We'll move on down to the 4-hour. So you can see this 4-hour momentum wave is getting pretty low. It hasn't quite pinched off yet, but they are getting closer. We can see this VWAP curling up, indicating that these two averages here are getting closer to a bullish crossover right at the base, or right at the bottom line of our ascending triangle. Let's move down to the hourly. And what do we got? We have a bullish crossover. We had price break up to the upside ever so slightly, but now we see this VWAP curling. What I would want to see is to see this start to get inverted as it approaches the zero line and continue on to the upside. And where is this occurring at? Well, right at the bottom of this ascending triangle. So let's work our way down just a little more. Already looked at the macro and well, not the macro, but just the larger time frame from the daily. We'll head on down to the 5-minute here. And we don't really have any bullish divergence, but what do we have here? We have price came down to this key level. We got a double bottom. We got a lower or a higher low. And then now we've had a double bottom on that higher low. We do have some bearish divergence right here. Ideally, I would like to see this triangle fail, in all seriousness, and price, I think it would be very nice to retest the $32,000 to $33,000 area to confirm the strength of the macro breakout. But at the same time, if buyers are so bullish that it doesn't happen, W.D. Gann said, well, it probably wasn't him, it was just a quote he was giving, that if the market doesn't give you what you want, well, then you need to take what it gives. And right now we appear to be bouncing off the bottom of this ascending triangle, but at the same time we do have some bearish divergence in the small time frame. So I think really what happens as we are down here, are we going to lose this ascending triangle, or are we going to keep it? And then even looking here, what do we have here on the bottom side? We have bearish divergence up here. This high right here is higher than this high, but on the momentum oscillator, we can see that the highest momentum was way back here. So this is divergent. This is going down, but then what do we have here? we have hidden bullish divergence. Momentum came down. The thing is over the momentum waves, but yeah, momentum came down right here, equal to as much as it came down here, but price has held up a little higher. So I mean, we're kind of in a major point of indecision where people are just deciding do we want to keep buying? Do we think this will hold? And start the FOMO in that have been waiting for the 32, 33K retest. It could be. It could be. Getting some bullish signals down here, especially on like an hourly, would be great. But now you can see that we're kind of forming, possibly some type of a head and shoulders pattern, which would bring us down clearly below the ascending triangle. I wouldn't immediately be interested in a short position off of the break of this triangle. I think the short position was the retest of the golden pocket up in here. We got this big giant reversal bar dead smack in the middle. As price put in a high, if we pull our fib from swing low to swing high, we've been just consolidating inside the range of this swing, and the high of this consolidation was the golden pocket retrace with a very serious bearish signals. But I mean, that doesn't mean that price has to go down. I mean, that's just the reasonable short entry. And with bullish signals, if a person wants to hold a long and a short at the same time on futures, some serious bullish signals here would be the point to be looking at taking some kind of a long position with a very small, clear, identifiable stop loss. So, I mean, for me, I'm looking at, are we going to see enough strength at the bottom of this ascending triangle to push on up to our $39,000, $40,000 level, or are we going to lose this triangle and head on down for a retest of the of the $32,000 to $33,000 area? And another thing that we have to consider is we're just looking at the triangle here. If we zoom out a little bit, we're technically just in a horizontal sideways range, which means we have liquidity built up in this range. In our next significant liquidity level, I mean, look at all these lows, wicked up, up. Here we kind of front ran it a little bit, which is even more bullish. This $34,000 area, there's some serious liquidity down here. So, I mean, we could be thinking of this as just a regular sideways range. And if we pull up our fixed volume profile tool, there we go. Our value area low, which we have fallen back into the value area, that now we're retesting the value area high. If we were to break down, it would be very likely that we would see a bounce from the value area low at about this $34,000 level, and then most likely a push up to the POC or just slightly short of it, which would be a sufficient retest of this ascending triangle if we are headed down for where I would like to take a much larger long futures position from this $33,000 area. I mean, basically anywhere down in here, below these lows, I would consider to be extremely bullish territory to be looking to take some long orders, and also looking for price to kind of wick down a few times into some of these areas for even better entries if we're going to continue on and push to the upside. But you can see this hourly momentum is pretty much reset. We could still see the another nice drop, and then that 4 hour that looks like it's about to pinch off. Let's say we drop down here and that 4 hour pinches off and gets bullish off of this liquidity grab, pushes up for the retest. It rejects, and the 4 hours kind of came up and pinches off on the top side, and then move on down to 33,350 and under. These lows, these two lows of our range, come down, price, you know, could be wicking down here, filling some potential limit orders for a nice retest long entry to that $39,000-$40,000 area with a real high, you know, projected in the 48 to 50K area if we do see a serious continuation. So that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin. Now I want to take a look at Ethereum real quick. We haven't spent much time looking at Ethereum because it hasn't done anything. A lot of people have been kind of nervous about Ethereum, especially being that it hasn't really done anything. For me, I am looking at it more along the lines that Ethereum already did something, you know, so it bounced a long ways very, very quickly at the bottom, and it also, you know, I believe it bottomed out in June instead of December. Very different than Bitcoin. We haven't seen our regular Bitcoin run, Ethereum run, and then alt run. Ethereum's been kind of just passed on by. But again, what do we have here on this macro daily level? We can see a clear ascending triangle. And again, while I'm not super big on these things, it is there. We see this high right here, this high right here. And we're going to consider that this high here was a failed breakout. And let's snap a line across there. There we go. And what do we got on our momentum oscillators for the daily? Well, the same thing. But we are starting to get some bearish divergence. We put in this high is higher than this high, and this looks lower than this. You know, price is coming up to the top of this ascending triangle, and you know, has the potential to come back down and retest it. Now, if we start looking at these ranges here, we start to take some key levels from our support resistance flips. Here we got resistance, support, support, resistance, resistance. Switch to our line tool where we're just looking at daily close prices. Let's adjust our triangle here, and now, I mean, what this is going to give us is some slightly different levels that we can look for. That price may just wick on right past, you know, may move past, but at least get filled and at least get those trades. So now let's say that Ethereum makes one more tiny little push. That you know, then we would have some serious divergence. And if we look at this oscillation here, look at the curvature of this, curving to the upside, we would expect a high either right where we're at or very shortly thereafter. And then we can follow the curvature of this up. You know, we'd be expecting this to top out sometime in the next couple days. So there is a potential for one more little push. We have had kind of a 3 drives to a high pattern right there, but for pullback areas, I mean, let's look at some of these support and resistance flips here. We got clear resistance equal to clear support right here, clear resistance right there. And it seems like a very fair level to be looking at and targeting. I'll snap a line right there. You can see how nicely that has been respected. And let's look at some volume. Let's see what we got going on in our volume here. Let's just measure the volume of this entire triangle. There we go. So that is our value area high, that line that we snapped there. A lot of volume was traded right here. So I mean, coming down for some kind of a retest of this wouldn't be ridiculous by any means. At the same time, we may front run it, and so we've got these two highs right here, which is, you know, this was resistance, but it was also support right here. It was probably the POC in this little range. It was resistance right here, and it was support back here. It's also support right here. So let's take a look at this level for consideration also. So now, what am I going to do with these price levels? I mean, are these just lines on the screen? I mean, not really. What I want is I want price to come back down to one of these levels and get bullish signals. I'm going to delete this triangle. We're just going to, using the close price, we're going to ignore the fact that there is a triangle here, and we're just going to consider this a trend. So I mean, this gives us, you know, plenty of time for price to come back down and even kind of go sideways a little bit if necessary. And where should we be looking to go to for our next price target to the upside? Well, one thing we could do is, you know, if we're looking at retail trading patterns, I mean, we did have our triangle. So let's go back to our candles. And let's grab our line tool. So here's the base of our triangle. Here's the top of our triangle. Let's take it to the breakout. Brings us to the all-time high. Well, why? Because this range is equal in size to this range. And if we're looking, so I mean, that gives us a target of the high. So for, yeah, maybe we're looking at some super powerful breakout. If we go back to our line tool and just look at close prices, a far more conservative local target would be these lows. Here it was resistance, here it was support. So if we snap a target line there, that's at about 24,050 right in that area. 24,000. Good night. 2,400. You know, it's like $2,400 to $2,500. I mean, that is a pretty significant price rise, I would say. We're only at 1,850. I mean, that's a 30%, 25% move. One thing that we did on Bitcoin for some macro levels that has worked out pretty well thus far, as if we consider this whole upper price action to be one range and this to be the lower half of the range down here, they are equal in size, is let's, while price traded in this range from here to there, let's measure the volume. Let's go from about right there until the point that it left the range. And so here is our value area low of our upper range, which is coming out at about 24.34, 24.50. The POC, the highest volume, was at about 27.9, and here we're at about $3,300. So I mean, here is some pretty solid targets. I mean, I think this $24,000 area is looking pretty nice. You know, get a push up there and a pullback and retest, or possibly even break all the way up to this POC. See how this value area is corresponding with our support resistance flip very well. It's very balanced, nice D-shaped profile. So, I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking at on Ethereum, but I would like to see stuff cool off or pull back a little bit. And, you know, by pull back, it doesn't need to take some gigantic mega drop. I mean, really just some nice sideways, drawn out sideways action is more than sufficient. That's telling you that, you know, yes, buyers have kind of cooled off and don't really want to buy anymore at the current price. They've got what they want and they're concerned, you know, whether or not the price is going to continue to just rocket. But at the same time, you know, they're certainly not sellers. Short sellers don't have enough capital at that point to push the price down, and the price just goes sideways. And as it ranges sideways, that provides time for new money to come in to the market. So I mean, I'm just looking at this oscillation. I mean, I would expect the top here sometime. It doesn't mean that we won't pump all the way up to, you know, the top of this. Oh, my mouse doesn't want to cooperate very well. Up to the top of this ascending triangle at about 2K, you know, 225. So that's where I'm at on Ethereum. That's where I'm at on Bitcoin. If you like the content, hey, like, share, subscribe, join the free Discord. Link is in the description. Let's do one more thing for our target here before we hop off. Let's grab our fib. Let's go from macro swing low to macro swing high. We'll look at one more thing here. Now we want to know how much of this trend is retraced. How many percent of this did it retrace by? 50% of the way, 45% of the way, a third of the way. So we want to flip this fib tool over so the numbers are going up. And let's look at where our golden pocket comes out at. Oh, dead smack in the middle of it is this value area high. And if we look at this 382 coming out awfully close to this value area low, the POC is just an ever so slight front run of the 50% mark. When I'm scalping, a lot of times I'll put 44% or 44.1 and I'll front run that 50% level, and a lot of times it will fall short of that 50% level ever so slightly. Let's quickly grab our wicks, throw the candles on, make sure there's no major difference there. A little bit of a difference, but not too much. Can grab that wick. We're slightly above the high. There we go. And now that puts our value area high pretty much. I mean, look at how nicely these macro fib levels are aligning with the volume that was traded in this upper range. And by an upper range, I mean, what I mean is, we'll just hit it real quick. Where is our macro support resistance flip? Well, I mean, I'm going to say it's actually, you know, right here. Here we just, you know, push above it, said no, here it was resistance, here it was support, resistance, resistance, resistance. So we've rejected off of it thrice already. The fourth time usually pops through, but now let's take a look at the size of this range. And of course I'm on a log scale, which I'm always on a log scale, as in always on a log scale. I want the visual representation of price, you know, versus time to be representing the change in percentage of value per unit, not the change in just dollar price. Change in dollar price means nothing. And then now let's take this range here, and what do we got? I mean, nearly, there's the high right there. Well, it's not even a nearly. This is a mere book match image in percentage size of this range to this range. And I really like how the volume levels up here match with the macro fib levels. So, hey, if you like this stuff, join us. And maybe we'll see you over in that free Discord using that link in the description. But until then, trade well.